But overall, like Alan says, Australia do have super players. I'm yet to see it. I think they have good players. I'm not sure they're
I
super.
think
What do you make of it?
they're better than what they're showing, is my point. There's some really top class players in that side, but they seem a little bit lost in the way they're playing.
The problems of the Australian national team are multi-layered. Alan's quite right. That if we go through, and I'm sick of talking about hearing my voice on this. We've suffered for 20 years of terrible administration. We've lost, and this I'm talking about Australian rugby, we've basically become the third island of New Zealand, a small failed island, because we stopped encouraging Australian coaches, the Australian way of playing, and we brought in a whole lot of New Zealanders in administration and in coaching that said, no, we're going to play like New Zealand. And all that's occurred is we've lost our way. We've lost our how. How do we play the game? And then you've got the coach education that is focused when we're training coaches on pedagogy. That's how you coach, how you teach, rather than what we teach. So we've got this whole lot of young coaches, super enthusiastic, who are coaching 2 + 2 = 5, and they're coaching it really well, but they've lost the content. They don't know that 2 + 2 = 4. So you then layer on top of that the numbers in the men's game, 15-a-side game, have hemorrhaged. And basically Australian rugby over 20 years has lied about it or hid it through percentages of growth in the women's game. So the women's game might have grown 30% in a year, the men's game's dropped 10%. But those numbers are drastic. Like there might be 2,000 kids less playing, and we've got 150 more women playing the game. So the statistics on the growth of the women's game have blown away the statistics on the men's game. You add all those things together, then you start changing coaches from Michael Cheika to Dave Rennie and now on to Eddie, all within one World Cup cycle. And the players, the good players we have, are quite lost. Then you add in that Eddie has made mistakes. That game on Saturday, if you had Michael Hooper and Quade Cooper on the bench, two old heads to lead them in the last 20, when the young guys lost their way, as they're going to do, young players will lose their way. And I've got no problems with that. I've got no problems with Eddie blooding young guys. The problem is we've had no consistency of selection. We don't know why Hooper was left behind. Hooper should never have been left behind. Quade's different. Quade wasn't playing particularly well, but I still would have included him in the bench. Ben Donaldson hadn't played a game at fullback before the World Cup. I've seen Ben play since he was a kid at Waverley College in Sydney. He's a 10, and he's an excellent 10. But I've never seen him, I don't know if he's ever played a game at fullback before he put on a gold jersey. He may have had a little bit at the Waratahs, but if it is, it's 1 or 2 appearances. All those, and then you lose Skelton, and we lose a couple of other guys, and then you come up against the Fiji, who are very, very well prepared by a coach, Simon Ralui, who, surprise, surprise, is a Sydney boy to Fijian parents, came up through the Great Australian system, was educated in the Great Australian system before they tore it apart, then came to Europe to practice his trade, came back to Australia as an assistant coach under Michael Cheika, and now is using all that knowledge that he gained over that career to get Fiji organised. You have, from the Great Australian system, you have Simon, Michael Cheika and Eddie Jones all educated in that system. And that system is gone. It's a system I was educated on as player and coach. It's been pulled apart. So you have a failure of the national system, a failure at selection, and then you also put on top of that these young players are lost, as Quinny said. They don't have guidance. They don't, because we can say, how do New Zealand play? We know. How does South Africa play? We know. How do Ireland play? We could all talk about that. How do Australia play? I got no idea. It's gone. It's gone in the ether. The third small island of New Zealand is what we've got left. And the thing that I take out of this, I don't know if they'll beat Wales, right? It's going to be close. It'll be a great game, it'll be a close game. This is the point where Australian rugby has to put a line in the sand and unite and say, unless we start finding out our why is that gold jersey mean so much to us? Besides the baggy green cap of the Australian cricket team, that gold jersey means more to Australians than any other sporting symbol. Why is that diminished? And then our how. How do we play? How is it we expect Wallabies and Australians to play the game? And right now, our how and our why is gone. And that is the start. That's where the rot's got to finish. And I'm not sure it has, but that to me is the point. We have got to change. We've got to unite in Australia. We've got to get together. We've got to get a way of playing the game. We've got to bring back some old knowledge from the past and put it into young guys and young coaches for us to move forward. It has to be coordinated. It has to be resourced. If not, Australia are going to drop to a tier 2 country. That's just the facts.